Hello, and thank you for watching this presentation by me, Loki Howell. Here we have pictures from my first research project, researching space war that was made in Massachusetts. And I also have included my own personal studio logo, Loki Howell Studios, which you can find by going to the link loki-howell-studios.itch.io, where I put most of the games I made. Um, Questions for Jeffrey and Dan. While reading the article, especially this passage here, the same sort of imaginative exercise can be applied to components of any other kind of design. For example, by moving type around a page, start with a single letter, a lowercase a, imagining placing it in the middle of a standard size page. Now imagine it in a number of different face types, then rotate it slowly in place through 360 degrees. Slide it back and forth on page, up and down, change its size. Finally, just for fun, think about changing the size of the page. Now that's a lot of choices, and we haven't even gotten to making up a full word, sentence, or paragraph. All those choices exist in theory before the design of any page begins, and those choices exist for every single element you eventually put on the page. In my imagination, I can only picture the golden ratio, which appears in nature everywhere. I read through the article a couple of times, and I don't think I took anything else. I don't think I took anything. I don't think I took away anything else. It seems to be all word jumbled in my head. So the golden ratio, something I already know exists and have researched before, seems to be the only comparison to infinity that I can fully comprehend and compare to this concept. Um, my question for Jeffrey: what made you want to research and explore design? And then after watching the video that we were given by Dan, I think I'm even more lost. Both are interesting to read and watch, but when they talk in the video, my brain just starts listening to the music and not focusing on the words despite reading them. Same with the article. I don't know if it's the synesthesia, but when reading, I only imagine endless spirals, complicated designs, and the golden ratio. Or, as most people know, the golden ratio is actually the Fibonacci sequence. And then my question for Dan was, I only see AI as a tool for ideas alone. What is your take on AI, on how AI can affect the design industry as a tool? And then we had Victor Adoya. Um, the we read through the radical participatory design, which outlines the core principles of RPD, including presence, leadership, and majority representation of community members on design teams and their ownership of the outcomes. Victor's presentation on radical participatory design offers profound rethinking of design as a justice-oriented, community-led practice that transcends traditional hierarchy and colonial paradigms. And then we read through Christine Lamar Sansone's Design Instinct Learning, which the texts discuss the cognitive theory of multimedia learning, CTML, which is based on Pavio's dual coding theory. The text underscores the significant relationship between visual and creativity and effective communication in design and learning. And then we had a video. The design thinking is bullshit. I personally don't think this person knows what she's talking about. Um, and I went through and I read the comments of the video, and the comments are also stating how she is not really saying a whole lot of anything. So that's just my 2 cents on the video. I don't really think she's saying a lot of anything. Um, and then we have Bliss Foster's Silicon Valley thinks this is fashion. uh, which the video not only critiques the commercialization and superficial innovation of footwear brands influenced by Silicon Valley, but also celebrates the emergence of true creative ownership in the industry. The video underlines the challenges and expense of launching footwear companies, the risk-averse nature of the industry, and the disconnect between creativity and business ownership. Um, the video is also an ad for his company and the shoes that cost $160. And then we had the Vanishing Designer. I'm not gonna try to butcher that name out of respect. The main points were designers are urged to break away from imposed standards. Each designer has a responsibility to educate and inspire others, nurturing a more diverse landscape within their field to ensure that different voices and ideas are valued. Designers should strive to be the best version of themselves, showcasing the difference between good and great design. Um, and designers should embrace their individuality, challenge the status quo, and actively contribute to a diverse design community. By doing so, they can inspire innovation and ensure that the future of the design remains vibrant and varied. And then we have 5 designs I can't live without. Um, and I'll explain why they're the ones I chose. Glasses. I need glasses to see. I actually can't see without them because my vision is around -6 in one eye and -4 in the other. Or however that test works. I just know the -6 and never -4. Of course, with glasses, I have 20/20 vision. That's what glasses are supposed to do. That's why I need them. Um, Air conditioners, I need and rely on cold air. I generate too much heat and overheat easily. I'm pretty much always burning up if I have more than 3 layers of clothes on. Phone, I need for communication, drawing, ADHD games, and gotcha games to curb my gambling addiction. The internet, I need for my major, which is video game design. I need to make and model for games, which I hope to be my main job one day. And I need it for pastime here at college because I'm in esports. I'm the mid laner for the League of Legends team. And then computer, it's roughly the same as the internet. They go hand in hand. I need both for making and playing games. And then we have the mass design innovation. Mass is Massachusetts, not large. And I did Space War. As you can see, I did the. There's my link to the Pachacha. I have the timeline of when the PDP one was first produced to all the way. That was in 1959, all the way to 2012, where they remade the game and launched it on Steam, so anyone could play it. Um, but I have it listed so people can get a thinking about when in history the time they were making this. The baby boomers were born in 1950, 1959. PDP-1, which was a computer, was first produced. 1961, DEC donated the PDP-1 to MIT. 1962, Spaceport was developed by Steve Russell, who you see on the side. Um, and then 1968, Martin Luther King died. 1971 to 1979, the Vietnam War / Watergate / Roe versus Wade was going on, and during that time, the Galaxy game and Computer Space 1971, and Asteroids 1979 were inspired by Space War because it was made in 1962. And then in 2012, it was released on Steam because it was remade. And we can play that today. And on the next slide, you can also see I have played. It's a two-player game though, so I didn't get that far. It's just two spaceships trying to fight at each other with a gravity um, orb in the middle that's drawing the planets in. And when they hit the gravity orb, they explode. Um, and then on the next slide, I have a picture of a black hole or a void. Um, and I chose a void because I have a type of synesthesia and hyperphantasia. Um, and because I have synesthesia and hyperphantasia, objects immediately appear when I think about them. That's why I chose a void. I'm constantly thinking about things, but if I was to stop, it would be a void. So my design space is a void where things can be summoned freely by thinking about them. Um, and I just used hyperphantasia, which I will now talk about. So, what is hyperphantasia? Hyperphantasia is on the spectrum, on the imagination spectrum, and thus always has to do with design thinking and research. As you can see by the picture, beside the text, this is commonly called the apple test or the aphantasia test. If you were to imagine a red apple, what do you see? If you were to imagine a red apple, what do you see and texture? Like it's in front of you in real life. That's a weird way of saying that. I don't know why I said that. I wrote that. But if you see the apple in front of you, like it's there. Like you see the texture of the apple. You see like it's juicy. Um, and you can see everything. That's hyper fantasia, which is what I have. That's a one. Um, it's perfectly realistic. The second one is realistic and reasonably clear. So you can't say it's like juicy. You just honestly you kind of can't tell that it's round. That's two, which is Fantasia. Moderately realistic and clear, which means you don't see any color. You just see the outline, um, which is also Fantasia. It's both two and three. Um, and then a kind of dim or rough outline with no color um, is four, which is hypophantasia. And then if you cannot see an image, only you only know that you're thinking of an apple that's aphantasia, which I get mixed up with hyperphantasia a lot. And then I have the team name, Team Blackjack, BLGJAC, um, because I love gambling. Here on the side is one of our own designs for each other's spaces. Each one has our own persona on top of the design in the order of the team name. We have Benji with donuts, Loki with Space War, Josh with the double helix, Angie with a Polaroid, and Cecilia with the MBTA map. And then I have the future design space. So the world is becoming a terrifying and not safe space for everyone. And if things do not change soon, we will be forced to live in our houses without going outside in fear of constant danger. So for coexistence, since my team has made their designs as actual rooms, I went ahead and made a cottage with their designs in mind, in the middle of the void. The void both representing my design space and fear and uncertainty.